Evening, everyone. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this webinar, She Inspires, Ladies Special, and IIT Delhi Alumna in Civil Services. So today, I'm hoping we have a very, very engaging session. For the keynote, we have Dr. Kiran Vediji, Her Excellency, the 24th Lieutenant Governor of Puducherry, and also our alumna. She is PhD Humanities from IIT Delhi 1993 batch. Warm welcome, ma'am. It's our pleasure to have you with us today, Dr. Kiran Vediji. And we also have 4 esteemed IIT Delhi alumna as panelists. They will share their inspiring journeys, what motivated them to be civil servants, the challenges they faced, how their stay at IIT Delhi campus transformed them, how has been the journey till date, and what would be their advice to the IIT Delhi juniors. And I am very pleased that for today's session, the moderator is Mr. Pradeep Khanna, our very senior alum. So with these words, first of all, I would like to invite our former secretary, executive committee member, IIT Delhi Alumni Association, Mrs. Jyotsna Chug Bareja, for the welcome address. Jyotsna ji is MTech Computer Science and Engineering, 1984 batch. She was in Kailash Hostel, and she actually has worked with several MNCs, including TCS, GE, Ericsson, and currently she is helping startups. And for past, she'll be completing 3 years. So she has been a very active member and she's supported several initiatives. So welcome, Jyotsna ji, and I would now request you to kindly present the welcome address.
Thank you, Gitanjali. Thank you for introducing me in such a big detail. I am Jyotsna. I welcome you all for this nice session of She Inspires, which is our platform where some of the well-known alumna are invited and they share their inspiring stories with us so that they can motivate other women also. Today we have with us IIT alums who have excelled in civil services, all 4 of them. Dr. Kiran Vediji, who has been known as a wonder woman in the civil services. So welcome you over here. And your work in Tihar jail definitely is worth mentioning. What you changed over there, no one would have been able to even think of. So thank you for all that work so that people can change their life after being transformed through meditation as well as spiritualism. So thank you for that and welcome over here. I welcome Dr. Smita Chugh, who is also IAS officer, and she has worked mostly in civil services in Jharkhand. And I welcome Dr. Kavita Gupta. She is also IAS, who retired as Additional Chief Secretary in Government of Maharashtra. I welcome Sonalika Jiwani, who is DM South Delhi, and Pratibha Verma, who ranked 3rd, and she is also IAS officer. And these two, Sonalika as well as Pratibha, they are younger ones. So their stories would be entirely different from the senior ones, Smita and Kavita. So let's hear all of you. And I think we would like to hear from you, your struggles and how you faced them and how you overcame all those things. Because what I see in younger generation is they are really mentally stressed because social media is all around. They look at different things, they hear different things. And I don't know, they don't know how to focus. So we would like to hear from you how to focus and concentrate and go ahead in their life and career goals. And we welcome Mr. Pradeep Khanna, who is a moderator today. He is also EC member and he has moderated number of events and organized also for global alumni at international level. So welcome, Mr. Khanna. We would love to hear your moderation today with all the ladies around you.
Looking forward to.
Yeah, welcome Kalpen and Mr. Bansal also. And there are right now 6 ladies even in our EC team. So which is the highest number I would have ever seen from previous sessions. So I don't know how many more would come in the next sessions. So that's welcome to all of you, and thanks for being over here and organizing this event. So I hand over to Gitanjali to introduce everyone. Welcome you all for this session.
Thank you so much, Jyotsna ji. Really nice of you to actually welcome everyone. So warm welcome once again, all the panelists and the participants for today. So for the keynote address, I would like to invite Dr. Kiran Vediji, Her Excellency, 24th Lieutenant Governor Puducherry, and she is 1993 PhD in Humanities from IIT Delhi. Warm welcome, ma'am, once again. So Dr. Vediji was born in 1949 Amritsar. Indian social activist who was the first woman to join the Indian Police Services and was instrumental in introducing prison reforms in India. Her education included an undergraduate degree in English in 1968, a master's degree in political science in 1970, and a law degree in 1988. And it was followed by a PhD in social science in 1993 from IIT Delhi with a focus on drug abuse and domestic violence. She joined the Indian Police Services in 1972 and went on to serve a variety of roles, including narcotics officer, anti-terrorist specialist, and administrator. For her innovative and dedicated work, she was awarded the Raman Magsaysay Award in 1994 and the Distinguished Alumni Award by IIT in 2017. So, Dr. Kiran Vediji, we are extremely honored to have you with us, ma'am, for today's session. Kindly present the keynote address.
Thank you very much. I want to thank Pradeep, Kalpan, Shukla, Pankaj Kapadia, and all of you youngsters and you organizers for bringing us all together. I think, is this the first of its kind? Is it?
Ma'am, actually, we have this initiative. This was started by myself and Jyotsna ji. So we started this in September. So till now, we have had 5 sessions and we have had 15 alumni who actually have excelled in various fields, ranging from the technical, the administrative services, entrepreneurs, and several others. So this motivating sessions, today is the 5th of its kind. So we're very pleased to have you because we had today's special was ladies in civil services.
Excellent. So, I'm so happy to be part of this. Very good initiative, bringing smaller groups together to do a little chat, conversation. Good, right way to do it. Well, thank you so much. How many minutes would you like to give me? Because I have my next session to run to at 5:45. So I'm with you, listening to you, contributing here till 5:45 at 6:50. No, 6:45. Right? Yeah. I'm with you. This is now 6:15. You want me?
I think, ma'am, if you could
for 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 3 minutes, Pradeep, or you tell me.
Ma'am, I think
you see, Kiran, anywhere up to maximum of 10.
बहुत ज़्यादा.
तो इसमें आप ऐसे करो 5 minutes talk and 5 minutes I will ask you questions.
ठीक है, ऐसे ही करते. All right, so let's have 5 minutes of opening feeling. All right. Now let me come back to, I'm so happy that Sonalika Jeevani is with us, and she was a witness to our session in Mussoorie Academy a few years ago. And I'll begin with an incident which has not left my mind. जब मैं बोल रही थी उनको students को, तो मेरे पास Q&A में एक लड़की खड़ी हुई, एक ऑफिसर, सोनालिका को मुझे याद नहीं, अगर तुम्हें याद हो, तो जब Q&A शुरू हुआ तो एक ऑफिसर, एक IAS ऑफिसर, लेडी, see, because it's a lady session, so I remember lady asking me, ma'am, how do we now handle any illegal, irregular, unlawful instruction coming to us from our political masters or political representatives? How do we do it? I don't know, Sonalika, aapko yaad hai ki nahi? What did I reply? I did not say how to do it. I asked her, अगर ये तुम्हें क्वेश्चन इंटरव्यू में पूछा जाता तो तुम क्या बोलते? तो उसने बोला, मैं बोलती कि मैं रूल्स के अनुसार करूंगी. I'll consider, I'll examine your suggestion, but I'll go by the laws and the rules because that's what our training is and that's what our expectation is. तो मैंने बोला, तुम्हें जवाब तो तुमने खुद ही अपने आप को दे दिया. और मैंने बोला उसको, तो फिर अब क्यों पूछ रहे हो? अब क्यों पूछ रहे हो? You have said this which brought you to the service. अब सर्विस में आकर तुम भूल गए हो तुमने क्या बोला था? यही तो जवाब है। तो अब आप घबरा क्यों रहे हो? अब तो तुम्हारी नौकरी पक्की है। मिजोरम से जम्मू कश्मीर चले जाओगे, जम्मू कश्मीर से केरला चले जाओगे, केरला से वेस्ट बंगाल भी चले जाओगे। तो हिंदुस्तान है। तो अब क्यों घबरा रहे हो? She had no answer. Do you remember, Sonalika?
I remember your answer, ma'am. I remember from your answer, ma'am.
हाँ. So I said, अब क्यों बोल रहे हो? और नंबर 2, कितनी पूजा पाठ करते हैं कि हाय भगवान मुझे नौकरी दे दे, एक बार ही दे दे, मैं जीवन भर वही करूंगी या करूंगा जो आप कहते हो, मतलब मैं सेवा करूंगा। तो मैं क्या, आप क्यों बोल रहे हो? So do not forget the spirit with which you entered. फर्क ये है हम सब ऑफिसर्स में, in this is my opening statement, is the way, first of all, we all enter the same route. नंबर तो लेने पड़ते, राइट सही जवाब भी देने पड़ते, पॉजिटिविटी भी देनी पड़ती है, ईमानदारी भी दिखानी पड़ती है, सिंसेरिटी भी। लेकिन जब काम करने लगते हैं तो हम अपने दरवाजे बंद कर लेते हैं और अपनी विजिबिलिटी, अब आप सोशल मीडिया का आपने इंट्रोडक्शन में बोला ज्यादा प्रेशर है, तो हम क्यों घबरा रहे सोशल मीडिया से? अपना काम करो, सोशल मीडिया को एज इट इज आता है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली जवाब दो, भागो मत उससे, बिकॉज यू आर सपोज टू बी विजिबल। प्रॉब्लम विद मेनी ऑफ अस इज, इफ यू रीड द बुक फेयरलेस गवर्नेंस जो मैंने अभी लिखी है, उसमें एक चैप्टर है where I had to get a particular chief secretary removed from Mizoram, from Pondicherry. I had to get him changed because I had to say back that I say to the government in power and center, okay, either you keep him because he's not allowing any change, or you give me a replacement so that I can continue to transform, because Pondicherry was in a back state. So if there's a chapter in the book called the chief secretary, the saboteur. Then there's another chief secretary called the facilitator. So he was removed and replaced, and another facilitating chief secretary was brought in. ये नहीं है कि वो मेरे साथ मिल गया. No, he only followed the law. He read the law and he understood the powers of what are the limitations and jurisdiction of the chief secretary and the chief minister. And what did the former chief secretary say? Ma'am, I'm not supposed to be visible. I'm not supposed to be in the field. I'm the chief secretary. And ये तो काम juniors का है, मैं क्यों जाऊं? So he refused to come with me when I said, let's go for joint inspections. Let's go to the field together. Let's see things together and let's understand the problems together. And he did not join me. On the contrary, he started to tell others not to join me. So he started to be a saboteur. So these are my opening statements. They remember that the spirit with which we come and the spirit which we show and express in the interview board, which gives us this very important service, we change immediately and we become afraid in a most secure service. IAS, IPS and all these all India services are very secure unless you're caught red-handed and unless you're truly blatantly hopeless. You stay on in the service wherever you may be posted, and now you may not get the rank, you may not get the promotion from joint, particular to make it to joint secretary, make it to the DGPs, you may not make it because you may not get that kind of performance appraisals, or your reputation is bad. Otherwise, nothing stops you. You say stay secure. So I think that's the opening statement. Man or a woman, and woman से तो expectation ज़्यादा है. Woman से expectation ज़्यादा है कि वो visible होगी, वो ईमानदार होगी, वो बातचीत करेगी, वो communicate करेगी, वो बात सुनेगी, महसूस करेगी और मदद करेगी, और थोड़ी हिम्मत भी थोड़ी, you see the word थोड़ी, हिम्मत रखेगी. ये expectations है from the female. लेकिन जब फीमेल भी ये चीजें नहीं करती तो फिर वो उनको ज्यादा दुख होता है कि अरे हम तो इससे डबल एक्सपेक्ट कर रहे थे, ये तो आदमी इससे बेटर है. कई बारी I've seen these, I've seen female officers and I've seen some outstanding people, but if you ask me, I have still not come across an outstanding IAS, IPS officer at the moment whom I would rate truly outstanding. I'm not being cynical, I'm not being negative, लेकिन मुझे पता है क्योंकि कलेक्टर हो या कितना चेंज एजेंट है, ये पोजीशन इज अ चेंज एजेंट, घबराने वाली नहीं है, चेंज एजेंट है. एंड इफ यू आर अ वुमन, यू आर द बेस्ट, because then there's certain perceptions go along with you. This is my opening statement, and I wait for the time. If you notice a very interesting article which has come recently by this article, if you read it in the Times of India, this is written by an IS officer. And it was 2 days ago. It was on 26 March. Has IS failed the nation? It's been written by my batchmate Subba Rao, who was governor RBI. And it's worthwhile article. Usne spare nahi kiya kisi ko. I would totally agree with what he's written. Aap pad lijiye. This is he's echoing what I have written. And I've given you by example what he said. Back to you, Pradeep.
Fabulous, Kiran. This was absolutely lovely. I want to kickstart the discussion by going down the memory lane. 1972, Kiran Vediji becomes the first IPS officer in the country, female IPS officer. What made you go for IPS in times when there was no other female?
Pradeep, it's just because I was different. I was growing up differently. As simple as that. As simple as that. Because I was growing up differently, how could I change now when I was looking? And I was growing up for service in the government. So I was individualization, as Carl Jung says. I was a self-realizing journey. I was not copying anybody. I was a nation tennis champion a few months before I joined the service. So you see, sports, academics is a deadly combination. And that too at the championship level. I think that's why I always say girls must play and compete. Learn to lose and win early on in life. Then you continue to lose and win, but you don't lose. You keep winning in the sense that you learn from the losses, but you cut the losses. So I think that's where, and I was totally a patriot. I was in NCC cadet also. It's a great combination. Tennis champion, best cadet, and a scholarship holder in academics. I think it's a very rare combination, which happened by destiny and design, because I was a very hardworking person. So I think it just worked.
Fabulous. Now let me move on to the next. You've seen quite a few postings in your career. How best were you able to manage, or let me say, work-life balance? How best you were able to manage that?
Pradeep, I've compromised not a single day of any day of my service. And my priority was my career all the ways, my duty, my responsibility. Family was supporting me. And as a mother, I had to find support through my mother to continue to serve 24 hours 7. I did not compromise on my priority for the service because of my family support, which was a big blessing for me. And I think any one of us women who are in the services and want to give more, and the job requires more. You see, I was not on the road just because I wanted to be in the uniform on the road. Whenever, whichever posting required my higher presence, I was there. I was there. Even when home needed me at that time, I was not making a compromise on that at all, because my priority is very clear. But home was also home because of my mother. So I think very important for many of us women who want to give more because the job requires more presence and more attention, must go in for major family support systems, which means intergenerational support. And I had intergenerational support. That's how I constantly stayed in the forefront of my work while having a very comfortable, caring, loving home.
Moving on to the next question, it is about the Tihar reforms. You come with a police background, and there is one strategy which is management by Danda. But you adopted a totally different strategy altogether. What were the drivers behind that reform process, and what made you go in for that particular strategy?
I think that's where's the energy of the woman in me, the mother in me, the caring in me, the empathy in me, the simplicity in me. And these are the qualities of any woman. She's born with. I knew I was born with empathy, care, love, feelings. My emotional quotient was very high. Intelligence quotient I'd already qualified for. I didn't have to go on proving it. But where you really get proven is how to express your empathy. your care, your emotions. So I think the woman in me was a caring person as Inspector General. I never walked in uniform in the prison. Why? Because the objective of the purpose of the prison was reform, not punishment. Because being in the prison was already a punishment. But if I would not do what I did, I would have added punishment to the punishment, which meant that when they release, they come back and punish society further because they were punished twice. So I took the bite out of that punishment, educated them, softened them, humanized them, and transformed them. That was my job, because I defined the institution as a guardian and not as a guard. So
Fabulous.
as a guardian, when I used to walk the prison, and I think the best of me as a woman emerged in that. I never walked in uniform, and I never had a guard with me. I walked on my own in the prison, all men taller than me, to let them know I'm stronger than you, not in physics, but in heart and soul. So I drove the message, and it worked. So I looked at that institution as a mother of 10,000 prisoners, men who were in need of help. They were helpless. They needed me, right? I had already, so I was not there as a job. I was there as a transformer. So I think, and this was the first time I was a head of a department fully. So you saw in me what was in me as a head of the department for the first time. But this is who I was, because policing attracted me not to punish people, arrest people, hit people, hurt people, lathi charge people, but lathi charge when they needed to be lathi charge. Not lathi charge because I love lathi charge. Fire when they need to be fired. Disperse when they needed to be dispersed, but softened or cared for when they needed. So I think that woman's balance in me, which had the best of the traits of the men, which is a lot of risk-taking and courage and stamina and physical, and the heart in me, I think the head and the heart combined exceedingly well.
Excellent. Governance is an issue across all emerging economies, as it is in India, as it is in other countries. What is the best way forward in getting transparency and good governance in emerging economies?
My first key, I've been saying everybody, if India has to be transformed in administration, one rule, if everybody applies from top to bottom, you are in government service, you are in public service, you are in public service. And public service also means teaching IITs. This is public service. This is not private, public service. Start your day from the field, which means start your day walking the street, walking the campus, walking the departments, which means that you start your day from the classroom. If you're a teacher, education secretary, start your day from the school. If you are a chief secretary, start from any department. If you're a DGP, start your day from a police station. That's what I did as an LG. Every morning, I started my day walking the barracks. As a police officer, I started my day from the school. As an LG, I opened up the systems for visibility and public access. That's going to the people, not people to you. If we adopt this rule, going public official to the people rather than people to you, things will change completely. Why? It will tell you what's wrong. You will see things for yourself. Your paper reports go down and you become visible, you become accessible, and you're using all 5 senses of what's going right and wrong. I have been using all 5 senses every day at work. That is the reason I could transform Puducherry. Otherwise, I would not, because I had nobody telling me what's going wrong. Because if I was as an LG, the doors are locked. If I don't open, nobody, even a bird cannot come in. So one rule, anybody you are, man or a woman, start your day, Sonalika, as a district magistrate from the field. Koi na koi sadak le lo. Municipal commissioner, district magistrate, pick up an area which is your responsibility. A department, in the office. Go and see. Your departments will be clean, your streets will be clean, and they would be transparent. There is no option. Transparency is not theory. Transparency is visibility. Listening, seeing, hearing, doing, problem solving. This is transparency.
Now, what do you see the role of technology and digitization in getting transparency and good governance?
The more you encourage it, the better, because all your gem, like the open market. These are all buying. The more you encourage the decision, we used to, in one of the ways which we did, Pradeep, in every week, whatever files the LG's office cleared and approved, other than anything secret and confidential, do you know we put it on social media? We put it in a press release. These are the decisions taken by the LG's office during this week. Appointments, promotions, increments, everything, policies, which were no compromise of security, as secrecy. Everybody knew. Why did I do it? Because many times certain decisions I took, the files kept lying pending in the minister's table or the secretary's table, and the people used to come back to me saying, what happened to that decision? I said, ye to maine pichle hafte kar liya tha. The file never moved, orders never notified. So what I started to do, every week my secretary used to make it public. These are the decisions we've taken, matter over. This is called digitization. This is one tool of digitization. Or make it public, whatever you deciding. It's not publicity. It is information. It is empowering people with information. You empower people as a right to know. What is otherwise right to know? What is right to know? It's right to know without being asking. Without asking. So if you make these decisions public, issue a small press release, use the tools whichever are available, whichever is the right tool, that's where you need to know, whichever is the time for a press release, or make a statement to radio, make a statement television. It's not publicity. It is visible. It's your duty to educate and inform people. You do this as a bureaucrat, you do this as an administrator. I did that and it worked. Otherwise, they would have been, you have to read those chapters of the book where how I handled social media during that time and how I countered the lies of the politicians. It was quite a challenge, but I had no choice. But that's the only way.
And this leads to the next question is that how do you reach out to the younger generation? India has 400 million, young people, the Gen Zs and all that. How do you reach out to them?
I've already told you, Pradeep, if officers start their day in the field, you're reaching out to everybody. And through that, you get to know what youth needs. I used to go biking every Saturday. Why can't we bike? Why can't we go biking? Why can't we do cyclothons and rallies and involve people with causes, tree plantations, water harvesting, Swachhta Abhiyans, so much. There's so much which can be done. So if we go to the field, we'll start connecting and you'll start feeling the pulse. Not only that, visibility, open up your door for a fixed time for people to meet. Open up your your email for receipt. Open up your WhatsApp. Open up these sources of information. You will start hearing what you need to do. Seeing and hearing, you will start now resolving and you start acting. Your initiatives will be based on the ideas you generate by using 5 senses all day. This is what we did.
So, Kiran, it has been absolutely fabulous to have this chat with you. Your energy reflects through the Zoom, and that is what it makes, very, very interesting to have this chat. Only in the interest of time do I have to curtail this session now, but let me say that this is going to be an ongoing discussion where we would, like to catch up with you time and again and see what's happening and where are you leaving. You are one person who has walked the talk. So therefore, you are a great example. So thank you very much for joining us. And ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause to Kiran for some absolutely fabulous
Thank you so
session.
much, Kiranji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And if you really if you respect what I'm saying, then I've written it. I've written it for posterity. I've not written it for profit. That's why I'm making my soft copy easily available through my websites and circulating it. Read it for God's sake. You have all these concepts explained to you as a Harvard Business Review case studies. Each chapter is a case study which explains to you in just three pages. It's not a novel. Every chapter is few words, a few pages. If you read that with picture, and there's also QR code with a visual snippet, you have it all. There is no dearth. I've written it only for posterity. So if you respect what I write, I've done my duty by declaring it. And it's declared in the book, Fearless Governance.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Absolutely
much.
fabulous.
Thank you so
Once
much.
again, a round of applause.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as I move over to the next part of the session,
Pradeep ji,
yeah.
Mr. Khanna, I'm sorry. Let me introduce you first.
Okay, sure, sure.
I'm sure you'll allow me to do that, please.
I will stay with you for 5 more minutes. I want to listen till the last minute. So I've got 5 minutes. I keep listening. I just disappear on my own. So please allow me to disappear till then. Okay? Go ahead.
Sure, ma'am. We understand.
Thank you.
Yeah. So really pleased to hear Dr. Kiran Vediji, very, very inspiring keynote address by her. And we have 4 very distinguished panelists with us. And the moderator for the session is Mr. Pradeep Khanna. He is the convener of Global Chapter and Connections, IIT Delhi Alumni Association. So Mr. Khanna is Executive Director, is Asia Pacific, Sydney Chapter, and Global co-chair Education for the Global Virtual Reality Augmented Reality Association and CEO of Global Mindset. He has 30 plus years of executive experience and has been a leader for IBM, Australia, New Zealand, leveraging India, China, Philippines, Vietnam, Egypt, Romania, Brazil, and Argentina. He is adjunct professor in the Australia and Asia on the academic board of Astra Institute of Higher Education. And Mr. Khanna, with his energy, has been a regular speaker at international conferences. And in the last year, he has presented in 27 international conferences, and currently he is speaking on an average at 2 to 3 conferences a week. An acknowledged leader in emerging technologies, particularly immersive technologies. He is co-founder of a social enterprise, IN Square, and is on the advisory board of several companies. He has an MBA from University of New South Wales, MSc Computer Science from University of Technology, Sydney, and is a BTech from IIT Delhi, a very, very senior, very dynamic and highly energetic member of the executive committee. So warm welcome, Mr. Khanna, and I hand over the session to you.
Thank you so much for that sweet introduction. I was myself looking at, trying to see, is this me kind of a story? So, that is so sweet of you. Let me kickstart the session today, because I also am the convener for global chapters and connections. So I will keep the global audience in mind when I talk about any session. So I want to, get people to think about what is India. It's a country of 1.4 billion people. It's a country with 2.94 trillion GDP. It's a country with 28 states and 8 union territories. It's a country with parliamentary system of democracy. When I in Australia or overseas, whenever I talk about India, I say that look, you got to talk more like Europe, because you go from north to east to south to west, you have different cultures, different languages. So how do you manage or govern this complex? When I was young, I used to say that, oh, I believe in God because India is, he or she keeps the country running. But today, when I look at, sitting in Sydney, I'm amazed when I read about that 1.1 million people sit for IS exams every year. In 2021, there were 761 notified IS positions. Man, what a small percentage of people. This is what we call as the cream. And when I look at the numbers of IAS officers from 1950 to 2020, there were 11,569 IAS officers. And this is thanks to Sonalika in my discussion, who, was told me about some of these numbers. And what is the number of female IAS officers? It is 1,527 numbers apart, that is 13.2%. Of course, the number has increased in 2021 to 31%. But you can see the trend. So with that, I am today delighted to have this chat with 4 wonderful girls, I would like to put it. Right from somebody who's an assistant collector to somebody who's been a full secretary with the government of India. We present to you people from Rajasthan cadre, from Maharashtra cadre, from Jharkhand cadre, from the central government, and from the Union Territory of Delhi. And whom are we talking about? Let's kickstart. 1980 IS officer Smita Chugh nee Smita Gupta. 1979 BTech from IIT Delhi. Man, this girl has been in Jharkhand, the very name of Jharkhand, and the stories about the mafias or whatever is, some beautiful stuff happening in that country. It makes me wonder, you know, what kind of a journey she's had. But there is another interesting part of her journey. She once modeled herself on Madame Curie. And when we ask her, we'll ask her that question. And from Smita Chugh, we go to the youngest member, which is Pratibha Verma. 2019 IAS AIR 3. When somebody told me that Pratibha is AIR 3, I said, what is this AIR? And I was told this is called All India Rank. So, what in layman's language meant here, she was third in the order of merit. And I would like to ask her that did the number 3 position help her in her role currently as assistant collector? Well, we'll talk about that. And from there we go on to 1985. And whom do we have from 1985? We have Kavita Gupta, who was with Maharashtra cadre and has very, very interesting stories to tell, who has a very strong interest in spirituality. And of course, when I was talking to her, I said, I hope you did not have the interest in spirituality just like the former National Stock Exchange CEO, where we've been all reading about it. She says, no, I made a very conscious decision of keeping those things aside. But lovely stories. And then we go on to the last person, but not the least, Sonalika, who, when she told me that she is what? Very high sounding titles like whether was it subdivisional magistrate. So I asked her, I said, do you have judicial powers? She says, no. And she explained to me in really very one terms that that is the unit of administration where we implement all the laws of India. What lovely. And this girl was 194 rank, and she's also at the moment deputy secretary, and I don't know number of other roles she's doing. But let's kickstart the discussion, and I go across to Smita. Smita, can you tell us about what is this Madame Curie story? Smita,
Madam Curie was always my role model when I was in IIT. And what inspired me.
your voice is kind dropping in and out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Madam Curie was my inspiration in IIT days. And what inspired me most about her was her attitude towards her work, her attitude towards perfection of whatever she did, and with great focus and concentration what she did. So whenever I felt demotivated to study or to do anything, I would simply read the biography written by her Dr. E. Fury about her, and I would get motivated. Yes, I must be perfect like that. I must perfect every thing I do like that, and perfect my attitudes like that, and work with concentration.
So my question is that was Madame Curie still your guiding philosophy when you were at Jharkhand?
Attitudes always remain your guiding philosophy. It's not Madame Curie. but it is the attitudes which you carry from your work, what you studied at IIT. You build your attitude over a period of time, and that carries you. It was, I joined IIS because I was very much motivated by watching Manthan. I thought it was an inner calling of working with the masses. So that guided me that I have to do something, to give something, as Honorable Madam Devi said, that we have to go to the grassroots, empathize with them, be one with them, and then decide how next we can help them, how we can help the underprivileged.
So let me ask you that in your entire career span of so many decades of service, did you ever get the feeling that you are not getting your due share because you are a woman?
I think gender was never an issue with me, either at IIT or in my service. I did my work with great focus, with great dedication, just like Madam Puri did. And then I also was very spiritually inclined. So I knew that I'm always.
Smita ji, can you please increase the volume? It's very difficult to actually hear you. So please increase your volume.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
it's a bit better, but if you can be a bit louder.
Further.
Okay. Because when we were having that one-to-one chat with Mr. Khanna, it was going well, so I thought it would be the same. So, where was I? What was the question, Mr. Khanna?
So the question was that in your decades-long service, did you ever get the impression that you were not getting your due because you were a woman?
I don't think so. I think I answered that question. What was the guiding force with me was not only the attitudes by Madam Puri, but also that I was under the guidance of a higher power. And it was that higher power which was guiding me throughout my career span. And it was the responsibility of that higher power to take care of me. So it was the responsibility of that higher power to take care of me. And that higher power scheme of affairs is rooted in harmony and love. So how can I be in disharmony with anything which he asks me to do? I will always be in harmony. And then how can I feel that I can get my due? Because I was just working at service. There was no question of being getting any due. That thought didn't occur to me. I was just posted. I was given a job. I did my job to perfection, like Madam Puri would have done. I was guided by that higher power. I tried to do my best.
So see, this is what I call, ladies and gentlemen, that see, there are people who go about doing their job without even thinking about the gender, even though they may be real issues. And that is what is inspirational for people like Smita. I was equally amazed because she said I never even thought about, these kind of issues. I just went about doing my job. Now, on another note, you also been involved in Reiki. What is Reiki, and how did you get that interest in Reiki?
He said my journey started with the search for God, and Reiki was only just a very small this thing. So I was exploring different methods and techniques to reach God and perfect myself. So in that process, I came across Reiki and I became a Reiki master, but that was not my ultimate journey. I ultimately landed up, I did Vipassana also. I put Vipassana in schools the way Madam had put in the jails. So, but my ultimate journey landed me to the Yoga Satsang Society. You must have seen this book, autobiography. It's a bestseller. So it is here that I finally found my path.
So you've also written a book. Now I had a quick read of some of the chapters. It's very interesting because it is, very much written like a story. Now, which year did you publish that book, and have you written anything apart from that book itself?
Well, this is my book. This is catalogued in the Library of Congress, and it was written in a very strange way. I was doing PhD at IIT at that time. That was the year 2009. I joined in 2007, and I got my degree in 2012. So my colleagues like Gitanjali used to ask me how would the journey in the IAS have been. So I used to write mails to them about my journey. So my son collated those mails and converted it into a book.
But I must say that it's really written like a story. If I didn't know that you'd written, I would have possibly thought this is like a Chetan Bhagat book. You can keep reading on and on, kind of a thing. And I'll be organizing a writers fest, and I'll be inviting you to that also.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
we will just give Smita a bit of a rest before we head off to the next person. And who is this going to be? Now, whoever has not been very nice to me, well, they come on the firing line. But jokes apart, let's go across to Sonalika. Sonalika, are you an IS officer by accident? And by accident, I mean is that it was like, wow, let me just sit the exam and see what happens.
Thank you for the question and good evening, all of you. So basically, I think because of so many avenues of information that we have, not just me, but many people across our batches used to always, find a way. Where does, a graduation lead us? So I tried everything. Believe you me, I tried everything. So I was very average at academics, as I told you earlier. But engineering was never something that really interests me. So I tried I tried research. I tried doing some small on-job trainings in some consultancies and analytics, but I didn't find my calling. So there was something that I missed, and my father always used to encourage me that one should really try and give the civil service exam, because it was a rage back then in the 90s when he was preparing. So I never paid heed to his advice, but the day he stopped saying it, I think I thought that I should go for it. So it was always a process for me, and it was never a change of heart kind of a situation for me. But the process was always a positive one. I think I had a very good feedback cycle, and IIT Delhi has contributed towards it immensely, that we are always reinventing, refocusing. So I would not say that I'm IS by accident. I always say that I'm IS by choice. But the journey has been a little bit of hit and trial. But where it has landed me is something which is beyond my imagination, and it is the satisfaction that it has given me throughout, even in the journey and now in the service. It is immense. So whether by accident or by choice, it is where I want to be.
Fabulous. So tell me, when you look yourself in the mirror when you're getting ready and you find that, wow, there is subdivisional magistrate Sonalika written over there, how does it feel?
So this was my first role when I had just joined the service, and it is an independent charge, the subdivisional magistrate. So it feels very, very empowering. And that is one reason why I often urge a lot of females to, girls and females to really give this exam, because it's very empowering. Because traditionally, you would always see women in softer roles. But once you give them power, as Kiran Madam also said, that once given power, you see a rare combination of power with empathy and sensitivity. So this was a feeling that I had, and I had never had that earlier. So I think that it was a very responsible and an empowering feeling, and the kind of respect and honor that you get from people, and the kind of mental and this satisfaction that you get from helping them. And so when you see this impact in the society, when you see this impact in the lives of the people, so I think that feeling is something that is unmatched, especially at our level when we are such junior officers working in the field, continuously in touch with people. So it's a very, very empowering feeling. And I think it is one of the best feelings that we can have when we join any office, the most positive energy that you can get.
So, uh, do you think that as a female, you have higher levels of empathy, or people think that you have higher levels of empathy and they come out to you with their problems?
Uh, I think empathy is another indicator of accessibility. So empathy and sensitivity. So we have had this in our earlier discussion as well, that a female is a woman officer is generally tends to be more accessible. This is a norm, but because it is a norm, it is also an expectation. So it is again a cycle. So definitely yes, that it is expected also, but I think that because of our inherent nature and our culture, I think that it comes to us very naturally. And I don't want to say that my men counterpart or a male colleague might not have that, but I feel that greater number of my female colleagues have that kind of empathy, and they really are very sensitive to specifically issues, social welfare measures and issues which are women and women oriented, children oriented. So somehow it happens that the larger issues of the society are always related to social welfare, and how women the view of women in these issues is generally more empathetic. And definitely empathy plays a very, very important role in taking decisions, in taking decisions expeditiously also. So that aspect also comes into picture when it comes to say women officers and empathy for that matter.
So I had a quick read of the article, which was published by somebody, the link of which you gave me, and that was a very, very well researched article in terms of women in the bureaucracy. Also gets me to wonder that, and as per the article also, it says that typically women were given, what are called as a softer portfolios, education, culture, and all that. And here you are in one of those glamorous portfolios or hard portfolios of finance. So, how does it feel?
Yes, so I've seen that. I've seen that in our very, very senior officers also, that somehow in many states, I'm not saying that here or somewhere else, but somehow it so happens that very, very important portfolios might be given to men. So this was something that was a little discouraging as a junior officer, but I think that IIT Delhi has played a big role in giving me a very, very liberal and liberating environment in general, that in IIT Delhi we did not face it. So it is very alien to us when it comes in the service. So thankfully that has not happened, and I have tried to put in my best, and thankfully that merit has been recognized wherever I have worked. And in fact, I have really enjoyed all of the diversified portfolios that I've some postings that I've carried. I've really, really enjoyed, and I think that is this kind of exposure at this age will really help me when I go, say, 20 years later into the specific ministries. I think this kind of an exposure at a younger age will be very, very helpful when we are writing policies for the country, for that matter. So I think that has been a great feeling and a great accomplishment at a very small journey that I've had, but I've really enjoyed it, and I've tried to make most of it.
Excellent. So, now let's give it a pause with Sonalika and head over to 1985. And who in 1985 but Kavita Gupta? Hi, Kavita. How are you?
Good.
Lovely to see you again.
Same here.
And tell me, are you so fond of studies that you got four masters?
Yes, I am. I never used to be when I was a kid and when I was growing up and in IIT. So there were usually two layers. One was the philosophy, and then upstairs were the engineering books. Because whenever I was studying, then for my father, it was the engineering I was studying, and for myself, it was a philosophy. So then over the years, I really, really developed interest in studying because I felt that it's so, so enchanting to study and to learn and to kind of know more and more things. So, yes.
So the way, masters and PhDs are floating around, so are there plans to do some more at this stage?
Well, I'm doing a lot of studies in the various forms of sciences, metaphysical sciences. So I'm doing my studies in like past life regression. I practice that and I'm a global expert in it. I'm also doing studies on numerology in Vastu. And I'm also kind of practicing, and I've done advanced courses in angel healing, and I'm able to get 100% results in healing.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So tell me, your decision to join IIT and then subsequently to sit for the exams, was that your decision or
Well,
your father's decision?
you know the answer. So, yes, I was wanting to do astrophysics. And in IIT, because I was a science talent scholar, I was in physics and we had these summer schools. And in TIFR, I was doing astrophysics. So I was very much wanting to do something abstract. And that is what was my dream. But then my father always felt, he was in the army. And he's a very, very patriotic person and very, very hardworking, committed, dedicated person. So he told me, he called me one day and he said, what if you invent a galaxy? How will it help the teeming millions? So with that single sentence, he said, I would like you to go to the civil service so that you can play a strategic role and help people who really need help, because that is the ultimate, spirituality. So you are doing a light worker's role. So then I appeared in the civil service exam. That is how.
So when I look at your profile, you've had some interesting postings like the textile commissioner. You were also in the field, in the initial and the later years. You were also involved in something which is equal to foreign trade or something like that. Now, in all of these different roles, you had to deal with potentially sometimes very powerful people whom you were treading on their toes.
Yes.
Now, did you have any challenges being a woman?
Well, I didn't have challenges being a woman, but I had challenges being what I am. So I was not kind of willing to compromise. And I was wanting to do what my conscience felt was right. So it was always the call of the inner voice which dictated my decisions and my course. And those were some challenges which naturally came along with that. So, but I think it is always a protection of the universe, which then sails you through. And it sails you through in such a way that even if there are adversities which come in your way, then they become opportunities and they become great learning points. So each time there was an adversity, and that is also the reason how I did two of my masters in Switzerland, because there were challenges in my role as finance secretary. And that is the time when I decided that I would leave the country and go and do something else. And I got this, I applied and I went into, and that was a great, great learning. It was absolutely great learning.
So on the same, you know, um, focus, when you were in Switzerland, how did you find the inclusion aspect? Did you feel that as a woman you had any issues over there, or it was just hunky dory?
As a woman, I had zero issues in Switzerland, zero. So it was like I was the only Indian. There were 25 professionals who were doing the course, all having done their bachelor's in law and bachelor's in economics, international economics and international law. And we had excellent faculty over there, excellent. So it was like I was working nearly about 14 to 15 hours every day, including Saturday, Sunday. We had 38 examinations, each 36 hours of duration. And it was a very, very challenging course. And I was able to top in the world. And I
Wow.
extremely good because I also got summa cum laude, which is the rarest degree. It means a perfect CGPA, and it was given for the first time in the history of the institute because nobody had got that perfect CGPA till then. So it was a wonderful experience.
Great. Now, you see, you had some, difficult postings, you had some great postings. Now, all through your career, did you have a mentor, or was there a system of mentors in the bureaucracy?
We don't have a system of mentors, but yes, I would like to acknowledge some of the people who really guided me and helped me in the course of my journey in the civil service. And some of the bureaucrats, like Mr. Habibullah, who's no more. He was a guiding spirit, very, very, very strict officer. But at the same time, he was like, very, very straight and soft with him and very compassionate. So people feared him, but he was my mentor. Then I had Mrs. Zucchi. She was also my mentor in my posting as Secretary Finance. Then I had Mr. Prem Kumar, who was the Chief Secretary. He was my mentor. Sumit Malik, he also was kind of a guiding spirit for me. He retired as the Chief Secretary also. So I had some very strong support from some of my
And
seniors.
would you be happy to mentor some of the young girls who are getting into the IAS now?
Definitely, I would love to do that.
Because
Yes.
I think this is what is the thing that the the kind of community, that the kind of a family that we are within the IIT Delhi Alumni Association. It will be great to have such kind of relationships,
Yes.
where people are able to help out and also get support. Now, tell us a bit about your interest in spiritualism.
Uh, First and foremost, over the period of time, I have learned that there is no two people or not many people. It's one. We all are one consciousness. So once you acknowledge that everybody is a single consciousness, then automatically that love flows. And in spirituality, the only thing which is there is love, and unconditional, totally accepting love. And that is what people who had near death experiences, they have discovered that. I lost my mom last year, and that was a great, great shock for me. But it also opened the door of the other side to me. So after 7, 8 months of her departure, then I was able to communicate with the other side. And that is what gave me a great relief. And then suddenly I found that it is one consciousness, there is no death, right? Life and death are illusions. So we don't die. We always exist, and the consciousness exists, and it becomes more expansive and more universal. So that is the ultimate thing that is there in spirituality. In one sentence, spirituality is nothing but unconditional love. And that is what we receive from the creator, from the ultimate source, all the time. We are fully supported.
That is so good to hear. I suppose the question is, when you look at Maslow's need hierarchy model, how do you look at somebody who has basic needs which are still to be met? He doesn't have, food to eat. How do you expect him to just survive on, this kind of a faith? It is challenging. I mean, people can still do it, but it is challenging.
So, Pradeep, can I say something very different in this particular question? Because it's a very interesting field which you have touched. So I would like to also touch on the fact that everybody has a soul journey, and each one of us plans a soul journey. So a person who is born in whatever he has planned that journey, and he has planned, his soul has planned that journey in this material world, because we are all divine. We are all spiritual, divine creatures come into the material world to gain some experiences. So everything is an experience. So if there is a deprivation, maybe he has come to experience that deprivation in order for his soul evolution to take place. So that is a part of his life plan. And I'm not saying that he should remain poor, but it is an experience, maybe a challenge for him to learn a lesson and see how he develops his journey in that.
Love it. So it's been absolutely fabulous talking to you, and let's give it a pause and now go across to the youngest member of the group. Pratibha, how are you? Are you there?
I think Pratibha has left. Probably she had some engagement. But you can continue, Pradeep, with the other three panelists.
Okay, so now let me come back to some of the core issues that we do want to, we looked at, the number of female officers, IS officers, which on average, if you look from 1950 to 2020, is 13%. How do you think we can increase the number of female officers? Because there are a number of factors at play. What about the home environment? What about the environment, the patriarchal kind of a society that people have grown up in? What about going for coaching classes? What about when they are there? So how do we start this journey? Do we start this process by educating people right at school itself? Or I would be interested to hear the views about the panelists. So let's go back to Smita. Smita, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, being the mother of two children, I can only say that the children have their own very strong mind what they want to do. And
Smita, your voice is dropping out.
I don't know why it is happening.
Yeah.
Okay. Being the mother of two children, I have come to learn that the children have a very strong mind of their own, and they are governed, and because unlike our days where we didn't have so much media around, here much is determined by the influence of media, peer group, etc. So in school too, certain perceptions grow, see what is good and what is bad, and how their life should be. So right from the school, because many people don't know what the IS is, and that's why he wrote that book. When people wanted to know what the IS is and how the life in the IS was. So, and it's freely available as PDF for anybody to read, and people of the younger generation, when they read, they do get motivated. So I think, but do we want everybody to come to the IS? I don't know. Do we want, because everybody goes as per their inner calling. And if they have that inner calling to come to the IS, they will come in any case.
Okay, thank you. And I move across to Sonalika. Sonalika, what last comments would you like to talk about or speak about on women in civil services?
So we've had a lot of inspiring speakers and coming from various levels in the service and having various kinds of a diversified portfolio. Uh, but I think that uh, at the end, how you would, at the end, we run this country, we sit in offices. So, how would a common person perceive an officer? We would want them to be honest. We would want them to have empathy. We would want them to have, we would want them to feel our issues. We would want them to be disciplined. So these are some attributes which are common to everyone who is leading a successful life. So these are the attributes that one must work for. And coming back to the previous question that ma'am was also answering, that I feel that it is from all walks of life. Anybody who is successful has something, who's hardworking, who's sincere, who has a lot of perseverance, who has patience. So all of these things are nurtured in children, uh, in our interactions in various institutes, in our trainings. So I think we all should work towards it. It is not something that comes out of the blue. It is an enabling environment that is given to a child, and how we consciously realize that we need to improve ourselves. It's a feedback cycle which comes and goes. So I think if students are also listening, your environment uh, enables you. You have to make it as a facilitator. You have to learn from the mistakes and go on your success, but learn from it too. So this is something that I would want to leave all the people who are listening to it. I'm still on a journey. I'm very young to preach something, but I feel that this is a journey that I'm also undergoing, and I think that it is a very, very fruitful one. So this is a thought that I want to leave all the members with. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then let's move across to Kavita. Kavita, what are your last comments in regard to women in civil services?
So, Pradeep, I would like to say that the civil service is definitely a very, very strategic service. So, like during my tenure as a woman in the civil service, I made some very personal sacrifices. Like I did decide not to have a child so that I can focus all my energies to the civil service. And I was working nearly about 24/7, including Saturdays and Sundays, 14 to 15 hours every day. And I could impact directly 60 million people in my different postings as labor, principal secretary labor, as DGFT, as textile commissioner, in this formation of self-help groups in Mavim, and all kinds of things I could, and even my role as collector Jalna, CO, literacy program in Vardha, all these postings, various postings. So we have these great opportunities and we can make a very strategic difference. As a woman, we empower other women. And the very fact that you are in that kind of a position or place is itself inspiring for other women. And they do take a lot of strength from that area. I have also experienced that when you work in the villages, in the field, they do not discriminate you as a woman officer or a man officer. And there's a great respect, in fact, they show you. In some of the places, they were calling me Mataji also. So those kind of things are there. And it's a very rewarding journey. It's a very rewarding journey. And I think worth all the sacrifice, because I mean, it is something that you are giving back to
in a way to your creator, that you're working on his whatever purpose he has.
Thank you very much. And before I hand it over back to Gitanjali, let all of us give a big round of applause to these wonderful ladies. Such lovely stories. And all I would like to say is that look, this is just one or a beginning of a series of chats that we will be having. We would want to revisit these after some time again to see how the journeys have been, changed, or how in which direction they are going, all of you, and so as we. And to provide an inspiration and to build a community where the senior members can mentor the younger members. With that, once again, a big round of applause to all the three young, beautiful and young ladies, and handing it back to Gitanjali. Over to you, Gitanjali.
Dr. Gitanjali? Hello.
Gitanjali, you're on mute.
Yeah. Good evening once again. So we had a wonderful session. Thank you so much, Mr. Khanna. You actually brought so much energy into the session. And I actually can see that you've taken the journeys, the Q&A in such a manner that people who actually are with us, they could really identify. So thank you so much, Mr. Khanna, for supporting us today. And I once again wish to thank our president, Mr. Kalpen Shukla. He is the one who always is guiding us. I sincerely thank Jyotsna ji. She, as a secretary, she actually started several initiatives, and She Inspires is actually her baby, which I started. And I am, with her blessings and guidance, I'm trying to continue with this. So this was our 5th session today. Again, thanking Pankaj. Thank you so much, Pankaj. It was for your support that Dr. Kiran Vediji joined us today. So I thank you so much on the behalf of all the panelists, all the participants, IIT Alumna, and all the people who actually will be looking at this episode on Facebook and also on our YouTube channel. And a very sincere, heartfelt thanks to all the very powerful panelists who actually are our alumna. So warmest regards, Dr. Smita Chugh ji, Dr. Kavita Gupta, Sonika ji, and Pratibha ji. Wonderful to have you. I'm really happy that all of you, despite your busy schedule, you could take out time. And I am once again very sure that several of our alumna, they would be very inspired by your journey. So thank you so much. And I sign off from the office.
Congratulations. Congratulations to you, Gitanjali, Jyotsna ji, Satish.
Thank you.
Yes.
Pradeep, also, I would like to say, Kavita has also written a book, Love Only.
Yes.
Which says love everyone.
Fabulous.
Yes. I think we'll have some of these copies from all of you, and we'll have them in the association office. So please share. With your compliments and your regards, please share one copy each of your book. We'll have them in the office so that whosoever wishes to have, they can order the copy also, and if they would like to contact you, they will.
And Amazon also has it, and JCO publication.
Smita can also share one copy in the office.
My copy is now only available
PDF,
which
okay.
I've already shared with you.
Okay.
Because my publishing house now closed, so no more hard copies.
Okay, PDF file you can give it to Satish ji in the office.
Yes.
So you can share with anyone who wants to read.
It's with you and Gitanjali.
Okay. Okay, we will share. We'll share that. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Soon.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.